This is Bofades, and he is stuck in ZF until he earns 1 million gold from this dungeon and this dungeon alone. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the series where Bofades is stuck in ZF until he earns 1 million gold. Today's episode is going to cover runs 91 through 100. Kind of hyped for this one. 100 runs in a dungeon is always fun. So before we get started, let's take a look at what we sold overnight. Ooh, alright, so we made 2,400 gold overnight, and it looks like the big seller is this thistle tea recipe. And I sold it for 1,700. I feel like that's low. I feel like this is a mistake. Yeah, looking at it on Undermine Exchange, I did sell it for barely above the low price, with the median being 14k. I probably should have sent this off to one of the other tunes that's in this warband to maybe sell it for closer to 5,000 or 6,000. But that's okay. All right, we'll take 1,700. So let's go ahead and get this in the bags, see where we start. All right, that puts us over 30k for this challenge, which puts us at, what, 3%? 3% of the way there. All right, before we start, as always, I like to highlight a few comments. This first one says, have you made videos before Bofades and Socrates? Your production is on point, and I can't help but think it can't be your first time. First of all, thanks for the comment. I appreciate the engagement. Secondly, if you guys are new here, the reference to Socrates is my second channel. I'm doing this same sort of thing on another tune where he is stuck in Scarlet Monastery. So to answer that, I have a somewhat large following on TikTok in the book talk niche. I've been making videos on like philosophy and politics over there for a few years, and I developed this editing style that I think is translating well over here. I'm basically trying to craft a 10-minute video that feels like 5 or 6 short form videos over here, and I think it makes sense to do it this way because of attention spans in 2026, right? The next comment pertains to a comment I made about selling these yellowtail fish every day. He says, I think that fish is used to level up classic cooking. It's in a guide, so selling it on the auction house kind of works for peeps that can't be asked to fish. Not 100% though, keep up the good work. So you're 100% right. I decided to look this up on Wowhead, and we can see that 70 raw spotted yellowtail are needed for cooking. Apparently it helps with the 225 to 275 range in cooking, classic cooking. So spot on with your analysis there. Good job. So the last comment I want to highlight before we start says, loving this series on both channels, but to others new to transmog farming, selling, are you able to show in more depth how you choose which auction house realm you sell particular items on? I know you show a little about it with some bigger items, but may help some others. Okay, so I don't want to go into too much detail on this, as I don't want to give away the auction houses that I'm using for this challenge, out of fear that one of you wants to be kind and help me out by buying my stuff. But here's a basic example. What I'll typically do is take an item or 2 or 3 from a dungeon that I already like to run. So for this example, let's look at Wailing Caverns. I know that Wailing Caverns drops the Deviate Hatchling, right? And so I know that when I run this place, this thing is going to drop a few times. I also know that it drops another piece of gear called the Ceremonial Leather Loincloth, which we'll look at here in a second. So what I'll do is I'll look at the average prices for one of the items that I know I'm going to get. And when we look at the Deviate Hatchling here, we see that the low end is 4k, the median's 10, mean 16. And then I'll go down and look at the realms that it's selling on. My goal here is to try to find a realm that I think I can compete on that also has a good price for the items that I know I'm going to be farming. And as we all know, full pop realms typically see higher sells than low pop realms, which makes sense, right? There's just more people there. So when I'm looking at this, I see that on Area 52, which is a full pop realm, there's only one that's on the auction house right now, and it's listed at 10k, right? So I've decided that 10,000 to me is a good price for a Deviate Hatchling. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look at other items that I know are going to drop from Wailing Caverns, and I'm going to see how they're doing on Area 52. So let's look at the Ceremonial Leather Loincloth. All right, when we look at this item, we see that on the low end, it's 6,700. A median is 48k. So this is a wide range right here, but let's see what it looks like on Area 52. All right, so when we go down to Area 52, we see that it's going for 25k, and there are 4 there. So there is a little bit of competition here, but this price is between that low end, that 6,700 and that 48,000, right? And if I couple this with what we just found out about the Deviate Hatchling, I feel like this realm wouldn't be necessarily too bad to compete on. I don't like that there are 4 of these, but I do think that because it's a full pop realm that I potentially can compete with these guys. And it's critical that you keep in mind that it takes time to sell transmog and collectibles like battle pets. So even though today I feel like I could compete on this server, the amount of time it takes to sell these items may allow for other competitors to come in and drive down the value to a point where it doesn't make sense selling on that realm anymore. And that's something that I'm definitely trying to be mindful of on the realms that are connected to this challenge. I think someone is farming ZF kind of hardcore on one of the realms that's connected to this challenge. So that auction house tune is competing with someone else that's putting up a bunch of these items for like super low prices. At the end of the day, it is what it is. Gold making and gold farming, transmog farming, it's all PvP. All right, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and eat our fried bonefish. Start up Loot Appraiser. And let's do runs 91 through 100. One other thing about transmog farming is that what I'm doing is not wise, and I think I've said that before. You don't want to have tunnel vision on just one dungeon and only farm that one dungeon. It's not smart. Resplendent boots. One of the tenets of transmog farming is that you want a variety on the auction house. And I'm just doing this as, you know, a challenge for a YouTube channel. Griffin Mail belt. Having said that, it's not as unwise as it used to be because of warband. Hey, thanks for the sub. But that's where we are now. Because of the warband, you can farm the same item, several of the same item, and just list it across several different realms. Someone asked about the sub notifications and where they're from, like if I have a Twitch or whatever. They're Khan's Buckler. No, those notifications are from YouTube, actually. I decided to use Streamlabs instead of OBS, and I went ahead and just connected it to my YouTube channel. So right now, while I'm recording this at 6 a.m., someone subbed on my YouTube channel, and it just notified me of it. Symbolic Crest. Jadefire Gloves. Rageclaw Boots. Rageclaw Bracers. Jade Epaulets. Witch Doctor's Cane. This is one that I pointed out the other day that I sold for 113k. Tyrant's Chest Piece. Jade Gauntlets. High Chief's Belt. Bloodwoven Mitts. Alright, first round of vendoring netted us 554 gold. Jade Greaves. Quite a few jade pieces so far. Protector Gauntlets. Arachnidian Cape. Bone Link Armor. Lunar Vest. Bloodlust Cape. Another Khan's Buckler. Okay, a lot in that one. Peerless Gloves, Celestial Kilt, Resplendent Bracelets. That one pack like doubled our looted item value. Venom Shroud Belt. Warbringer's Leg Guards, Bloodforged Shield. Another 361 gold from vendoring. Bloodwoven Boot. Bloodforged Gauntlets. Praetorian Wristbands. Alright, this is run number 100. See how it goes. Another Witch Doctor's Cane. Alright. Another pair of Protector Arm Guards. Oh wait, those are Angle Guards. Alright, we have killed this guy 99 times and no square holders. Will 100 be the time that we get it? And no. I kind of thought we would have at least one square holders designed, if not two by now. Is what it is though, right? Alright, that does it for these 10 runs. Runs 91 through 100. Let's take a look what we got. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up real quick. Ugh, I had an error with TSM and it reloaded everything. Still the same stuff in my bag. Unfortunately, we are not going to be able to see the Loot Appraiser box, the info that we got over the course of these 10 runs. I do know that the looted value is 900k. Kind of puts it like a little bit above the middle of where we are with these. I'll still do an analysis on what I think are the top 3 items and disenchant all the stuff and then show you what we got after that. Alright guys, after disenchanting everything and selling the stuff that I'm not going to try to sell on the 4 realms connected to this challenge or any of my other realms, this is what we're left with. As far as disenchanting mats go, 19 Rich Illusion Dust, 123 Large Brilliant Shards, 30 Greater Eternal Essence, 16 Rugged Leather, 50 Thick Leather, 4 Thick Hide, and then Cloth. We got 3 lock boxes. No epics this run, but we did get 3 different blues. We got 2 Witch Doctor's Canes and 1 Troll Protector. Our greens were okay. I would say 2 of the best ones were these 2 right here. The High Chief's Belt and the Impenetrable Belt. We got a Tyrant's Chest Piece, which isn't bad. Resplendent Bracelets can sell for a high price on the right auction house. And the rest of this is just kind of okay. It's worth posting somewhere. So if we're to take a look at the Witch Doctor's Cane, we can see that there's a lot of these up across the US realms. 14k is the median, 380 somewhere. I did sell one of these for over 100k last month, literally last month. It always depends on where you post it and also how many of them are up and also just who's looking for it, right? So I'm going to check my 4 auction houses and make sure I put it on the right one. Or right ones, I should say, because I got 2 of them. Our other blue is this Troll Protector Shield. 164 across US realms. There's one for 500 somewhere. 42k is the median. 10 of these on Moonguard. You RPers. So same story as the Witch Doctor's Cane. Just going to make sure I put this on the right auction house. And let's go ahead and take a look at the High Chief's Belt. 150 across US realms. 337 is the low. 10k is the median. Moonguard, you guys. All right, the amount of gold that we ended up with after 100 runs of vendoring things with just a few cells here and there is 32,859. Which I know is not a lot, but what people don't really see is the auction house value across 4 auction houses right now. And I know value is value. It's, you know, it's money that's not in my pocket yet. But once I have every unique item from this dungeon across 4 different auction houses, we're going to see sales every day. I don't necessarily want to guarantee it, but I'm very optimistic that that's what we're going to see at some point. So if you have been with me from the very beginning of this journey, I want to say I appreciate you. This is a very new channel and we're just trying something out here and having a lot of fun with it. So if you like this sort of stuff, this sort of content, feel free to engage however you would like, you know, comment, subscribe, whatever. I'm committed to seeing this through, and it might take quite a long time, or if a few cells come through, we might be done with this in the next few episodes. Either way, I hope it's bringing value to you guys. I hope it's showing you a side of the game that's really fun and sometimes overlooked. So many people just want to push new players into Mythic Plus or Raids, and there are so many other sides to this game that I think are worth pursuing. So again, thank you for watching today's episode and any other episode that you've watched. We'll be back tomorrow with runs 101 through 110, hopefully getting some square holders. So until then, take care. See you soon.